thank you very much for joining me. How are you feeling?
Feeling bloody great, mate. Although we're in some sort of torrential downpour here in Auckland and lockdown and etc. But apart from that, feeling amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the perfect time that I've got you now. You're in a lockdown.
Yeah.
You're sort of like, well, I've got really nothing else to do on a Sunday, so
yeah, I might as well.
I'm
Might
in
as
the
well
house.
might as well talk to some fella in England.
Yeah, exactly. Just some random
Where are
guy.
you? Where are you exactly?
I'm in Liverpool.
Liverpool. Oh, good on you,
Yes.
mate. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why I was a bit late, because I've literally just been watching us play. We've dropped a few points, but I'll try and perk it up. Thanks for bringing it up.
well, spoiler alert for people that haven't watched Taskmaster New Zealand season 2. At one point, the host Jeremy Wells outed my immigration status when I was there was a task where you had to, make your hometown proud. So
Yes.
I went for the hometown of Dunedin in the South Island, and then he cut my points right off, despite doing an amazing song. I guess that wouldn't make much sense to people in over there, but my hometown of Dunedin is completely obsessed with Scotland. In fact, all the streets are just renamed after Edinburgh in order in the shape. And Dunedin just means Edinburgh of the South. So it's like a replica city. And so I did a whole Scottish kind of thing. And then at the end, he revealed that I was actually born in England. So Dunedin isn't actually my hometown. Oxford, exactly. England is yeah.
I think that's because Jeremy so well. That anything like that where you can sort of like try and smooth away your around it, you can go, wait, I know everything about you. Like, you can't say that to me.
We've been doing a radio show together for 7 or 8 years, so that's 4 hours a day talking shit to each other. So it was kind of weird him being my taskmaster, because it's like, mate, you don't get to tell me what to do. We're co-hosts. Suddenly I'm like sitting on a little chair and you're in a big chair, and you're telling me whether I'm good or not. So there's a bit of tension there.
Exactly, because you work together and you're good friends. How did the sort of dynamic work between you? Did you think, because on as you say, when you work together, you co-hosts, you're equal, but he's calling the shots as the taskmaster, and he basically decides how well you actually do on the show. So how did you find that?
To be honest, sweet ass, like it's like, I mean, he's in a throne, but it's still the same old loser. It's like I didn't give him any respect. You don't see it because it's not cut into the show, but me and Ursula, we never stood up, because they make you stand up in front of the crowd when the taskmaster comes in. We all come and get introduced, and we all sit on our chairs, and then they said, please be upstanding for the taskmaster, and me and Ursula just never stood up, because it's like, I'm not standing up for you, mate. Like, get out. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And I think that was sort of your approach, as well as Ursula. More of Ursula maybe just not giving one shit, basically. like doing the task. With Ursula, I think she was just like, if she could not be asked to do this task, she would just do whatever and be like, right, that's me done.
Yeah, that's right. And then because we ended up getting paired, I don't know, am I spoiling this? I don't know. But anyway, when me and Ursula sort of became teamed up, that's what she'd always say to me. She'd be like, I know that'd be early on. It's just I get confused between the record and the broadcast. But like when me and Ursula, because I like would just keep doing things. Like I had never never thought that you could just stop. I was like filling up the whole hour with stuff, and then half the time I'd just be talking to Paul. I'd be like, and then she's like, Matt, we're finished. Like, what are you doing? Like, we can finish. And I was like, can we just go back into a dressing room when we feel like it? And she goes, yeah, when you've done the best you can, just go back and sit down and have something to eat. And so there was one when we had to do a song together, me and Ursula, and I was like, okay, cool, that's the rehearsal. Let's do it. And she's like, no, we're done. We're not doing it again. We're done.
That happened so many times with Ursula. Paul kept going, is that it? And she's like, yeah.
That's it. Which was bloody great. She's when I was with her, like I couldn't stop laughing. Like both of us couldn't stop laughing. And I remember talking to the producers going about one task, and they were looking at cutting it. I just overheard they were cutting it, and I was like, you can't cut that task. It was the funniest thing ever. And they were like, no, there was 25 minutes of you and Ursula cracking each other up and you holding your ribs because you looked like you were going to split your sides. But there was fuck all task being done. So it was very funny for you guys, but all it was you laughing at each other. So,
Yeah. So obviously you know Jerry, but did you know any of the other people that were on the show? Like, did you
I sort of knew Guy a little bit. Like, we're both massive cricket fans, so I knew him, and I do cricket commentary is another thing. We've got this thing called the Alternative Commentary Collective, which is this we do sports commentary over here, and it's become quite one of the bigger things that I do. And so Guy was he's a cricket tragic, so I sort of got to know him through that, and we were going to invite him on. So I don't know, something happened, so I sort of knew him. And I'm trying to think. I'd been on a couple of TV shows with Ursula. Oh yeah, and I was the host of a Taskmaster ripoff show on TVNZ called. No, I shouldn't say that. It was called Brainstorm, which was the show that David Carreos was on.
But, yeah.
But that was a really low budget version of it, and so I was kind of like the equivalent of the Taskmaster. I shouldn't say it was a ripoff. It was, but I shouldn't say it. But I was just hired to do it, and it was a really fast turnaround. So like I was only on set for that. Like they were shooting for ages on that show, and I was only on set for like a couple of days, bashing out the links. And so I didn't really get to know David Carreos, but so I kind of did. And New Zealand's tiny. It's like in Auckland, you've seen them around. Yeah, you kind of know everyone, but I didn't know anyone intimately, if you know what I mean. Yeah. In fact, I said to Ursula, we've been on lots of shows together, and she's like, no, we haven't. And I said, we have. And she goes, and we did a charity stand-up gig at one point. I'm not a stand-up comedian, but I was forced to come and do some comedy. And so she said, and I was like, I didn't do that. So we had apparently worked together a lot, but couldn't remember it.
Yeah. How did you feel like, because obviously all the others stand-up comics, they normally are always stand-up comics. There's always like the set few, like you get presenters and stuff like that come on the show. So what was there a massive pressure like coming onto the show? Like, is there, because most people that talk about being on Taskmaster, there's like a huge weight on their shoulders to be funny rather than just do the task. Like, did you feel that pressure that I have to be funny here? Like, I can't just turn up and do whatever I want.
A couple of, I guess, just one thing. Do you say how does it feel like? Did you say that? How did you?
Yeah. Like,
because I've always wondered, because like in that Oasis Chemical Brothers song, and Noel Gallagher sings, "How does it feel like?" And I thought that was a grammatical error. Is that how you speak up north?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know that makes me feel so much better about the song, because I thought he was saying something wrong in that song. But that makes it.
It's a lot of cutting corners in the language.
Oh, does it? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Second, to be funny, I guess, because like mine and Jerry's my whole career I've been trying to be funny. Like on TV shows, and like I started off with a TV show many years ago called Back of the Wire, which was a comedy show. And so everything I've done is to try and be funny. So and whenever I'm hired to be to do a gig or do anything, it's always I'm expected to try and be funny, so that wasn't a surprise. And like I do a bit of emceeing and stuff, but as opposed to being a stand-up comedian, there's sort of a funny thing in New Zealand where you don't call yourself a comedian, because it's funny, like everyone said, because on the show, like the promotion was 4 comedians and Matt Heath, which I sort of asked them to say because I thought it was a kind of a funny thing. And then someone was saying to me, do you feel insulted by that? And it's like, no, because I've never called myself a comedian, but there's a difference between being a comedian and someone that's trying to make people laugh, if you know what I mean. It's a subtle difference, right? Exactly. I don't know what it is. Like Jerry wouldn't call himself a comedian either. And Lee Hart on season 1 wouldn't call himself a comedian, but in New Zealand terms, I don't know what it is. The rest of the world, we're people that try and make people laugh, but we're not comedians. Does that make any sense?
sort of,
we're kind of more... We're amusing broadcasters is what we'd probably call ourselves.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I think that's what I'm going to have to go down as now, I think.
Yeah. So do I feel pressure? I didn't really. In fact, I didn't really run my head over the whole thing until the first day of shooting. And then I sort of turned up. and I didn't even know what to expect. And so I got there, and you do all the tasks a long time before the studio, and the studio is probably more that bit that where you're sort of sitting with a bunch of comedians trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But when I turned up, man, I was just like, this is the most awesome thing that's ever happened, because you're sitting in your little room in the mansion. I thought all the contestants would be there, but they weren't. And so I was just in this room by myself in this big place and didn't know what was going on. And then you just let out, and there's 10 cameras and hundreds of people around, and then there's this fun little thing set up for you to do. And so, like, after the first task, I was like, this is like, I would pay to do this. I would pay for people to set up a stupid thing for me to try and do, and then go back and be fed and then come back down. You know what I mean? Like, it was so much fun. So after that, I then suddenly was 100% invested in the show. And then I might have felt a little, I was like, this is really, really good. And then, I guess maybe on the, and then I thought, and then we had to get our like prizes, like our prize task at the start of the show, sort of. And then I thought, I feel some pressure now, because I better come up with some good ones. I didn't. Okay. I came up with 3 times. Somehow I came up with plastic buckets full of dirt. I didn't know I was doing that until that guy said, literally, that's 3 times you bought dirt in plastic buckets, like in a wheelie bin. And then I was like, oh shit, I had to. But so that's when I started to feel a little bit of pressure. But it's like all the people on the, Laura and Ursula and Guy and David, like at the end of it, we became such good mates. Like, we've got like a WhatsApp thread called the five friends, and we became really good friends afterwards. And
that's what it is.
That was really
WhatsApp group.
WhatsApp group. Yeah, the WhatsApp group. How long it'll last, I don't know, but currently we're still close.
Yeah, because it never. I don't know if it was like this for you, but for me, watching it, I didn't think it was ever as competitive as it is. Would you disagree or agree with that? Because I didn't.
I never thought in my head that I was trying to win. Like, that never crossed my mind that it would be something. Maybe because I work with Jerry and I don't really want to have what am I going to do with a large sort of gold bust of his head? I don't really want that. So I never. And me and Ursula were talking about that. It's like, it never crossed our minds that you were trying to win. What you were trying to do was have fun on the tasks, and that sort of came through, I guess, in the lack of like. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done any better if I was trying to win. I'm not saying that, but it wasn't really like competing to win. But I think maybe David and Guy and Laura, it probably might mean more for them to win, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't make any difference to my career if I win. I'm not saying that does to theirs, but I'm not sure what I'm saying here. But or Ursula, we don't care if we won. Like, we wouldn't care. We were just having a great time, and it was awesome to hang out with awesome people and do. And just, I thought the tasks that the people came up with, like the writers, was like, shit, these are good tasks. They're really, really clever. They're cleverer than me.
Do you know what? It's brilliant, because I went into the show with, a very cynical idea of, come on, this is going to be some shoddy remake of one of my favorite shows. And
out in the colonies.
Yeah, obviously when the first season came out, I didn't watch it. I only started watching it when the second season was airing.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, because it's just going to be a knockoff. And then I started watching it with, it's got original tasks, which is brilliant, because I was just thinking that they would just have the tasks that they do in the UK. But it's just a completely different mindset, and having the new tasks and then the new faces doing it. It was enlightening for me. I honestly, I didn't, and it was so chaotic as well, which I love. And it's always great. Mostly David just jumping around and getting naked.
He's a great New Zealander, David. Like, he's a brilliant mind. Like, me and him became so close on the shoot, because in a way, the way we approached things was very similar, but he was just smarter. So, but he is one of the most lovely freaking people. We went out for dinner, and recently, and he was just like, okay, he sort of looks after you. He's got this strange thing. He's like, Matt, what are you eating? Okay, and you're taking too long, and he like get the menu, start explaining to me, like looking after me like a mum. He's just such a unique guy. And then I was eating, and he noticed that I didn't really enjoy what I'd eat, and he was like, "You got to have mine." And then he was like trying to feed me from his plate. He's like such a uniquely lovely guy. Like the last thing I just messaged to him is like, "You're a uniquely odd and considerate human being, David." He's a great man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the competitive thing's interesting, isn't it? Because you have to care, though. Like I think it blows if no one tries. Like I was thinking about that. Like when I say I wasn't trying to win, I was trying to do my best in every task, but I was never thinking about the overall possibility of trying to win it.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of have to. I think everyone tried their goddamn best in the task to the best of their abilities. You know what I mean? And I think that's great. And it's such a fantastic format in that regard, isn't it? Because it's like whoever came up with the format, it's your Paul that came up with the format, eh?
Yeah, Alex.
That'll trigger people because it's the guy in the rip-off show is saying you're Paul, but like, but the format, because it can't fail to be funny because you've shot all the stuff, you've got all this editing, and then you're reacting to the video. So the video is such a great thing for people to react to, and so much effort and creativity and art department and editing and design and production has gone into that bit that you're then sitting on the stage looking at. And you know the way that how much people have put effort into the task and the comparison between the people. It's just a fantastic format. It's a piece of brilliance. I don't know if he just lucked on it, you know, or he's a genius, but it's genius format.
Yeah, no, it is. It started on a channel over here called Dave. We have a channel called Dave, and then then I think Channel 4 bought it out,
right?
Because it was doing so well on Dave, and that's because it was getting, you know, racking up the numbers, and you know, it's getting, you know, loads and loads of views now, and it's everywhere. It's constantly. And it's when it's on now, or now it's on Channel 4, it's always #1 trending in the UK.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Brilliant.
It's crazy how big it's been.
And you've had New Zealand's own Rose Matafeo on there.
Yeah, she was brilliant, Rose.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She came second. She came second in the show.
Did she? Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
See, now I'm hearing that the way you come in the show counts for something. Now, I wish someone had told me that in advance. I would have. Although to be fair, like if you re-edited the, you know, like you don't see the raw footage of the studio record, but there's hours that I was just berating Jeremy about his decisions and trying to get our points up. You know what I mean? So she's probably disingenuous for me to say I didn't care if I won or not. I felt I cared about every point that I didn't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was Jeremy with that? Was he like, I'm not changing my decision whatsoever, or was he like, I kind of feel bad about that? Because
he was actually he's open to manipulation. but every now and then he'd be like, no, come on, shut up.
Yeah,
like seriously, I make the decision. Yeah. Like Laura would brutalize him over his decisions, like brutalize him. A lot of and yeah, David would be like emotional, be just basically on the ground, like on the floor of the studio.
He always has like his shirt like open like that. Yeah. He's like he's.
I know. Yeah, he gives everything's 1,000%. He's yeah. So and I remember I was talking to one of the producers, and they're like, no one wants to hear like you guys just like, but they let you do whatever you want. There's no direction at all from the producers through the show. Yeah, and so after it all been shot, and one of the producers said to me, like, I ran into him somewhere, and he goes, you know, the first thing that hits the editing floor is you guys berating the Taskmaster to get more points after he's made his decision. It's like, what he can't change it, and it's not interesting for anyone.
Yeah, I think, and I definitely think because there were like 5 strong characters that they had there, I think it'd definitely be able for them to sort of berate them, where I think on the UK version, I think Greg has sort of built up this thing where whatever he says is the fact.
Yeah.
He's not like obviously people go mad on Twitter, like going, how has Greg voted that way, and how's that got 5 points and stuff like that? And Greg just doesn't care. He's like,
yeah.
And you never know what mood he's in.
He is the Taskmaster, though, because I mean, he has always been the Taskmaster, and he's defined what he is. And now, if you say, 12 seasons of it being incredibly successful, it's like that's some serious mana, as we'd say here in New Zealand.
They're filming the 13th series now.
That's an insane success, isn't it?
Yeah.
How good? How bloody good?
I think they just filmed the Champion of Champions as well, because after 5 series, I don't know if they'll do this in New Zealand. I hope it does, because I hope it just keeps going on and on, like the UK one. At the end, they get the 5 winners of the show come back for a Champions of Champions.
Wow!
Against each other.
Sweet. What about the 5 second lasts? That would be something. The losers of losers.
The losers. That should be an idea. You should do that.
Yeah.
But you didn't come dead last. You came 4th.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
With 146 points. Which
I'm glad that I didn't, because I think that David jumped me with a crazy ass task that he did. That I'd rather come 4th than go through what he did to come where he came. But what was I going to say? It was something fucking amazing. No, I've totally forgotten it. Oh, no, that's what I was going to say. Like, it rated really well in New Zealand. It rated really well in New Zealand. Like,
brilliant.
Because in New Zealand, to do well, you have to do well, because there's only 5 million people left to do well. Like in England, there's a lot of people, right? In the UK, comparatively, so a show might get 5% of the viewership, and that's doing great. You know what I mean? That's millions of people.
Yeah.
But in New Zealand, you have to get 40% of the people, or you know what I mean. You have to justify the cost of making a show. So it was winning its time slot, which is huge. So that a huge percentage, and plus, real boon for Taskmaster New Zealand is the country got locked down, so people were at home, so they were forced to watch it. You know what I mean?
I think it is the perfect show to watch during a lockdown, and just because I think it's so silly, and it sort of has no agenda whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly, and it's timeless. In a way,
its only purpose is to be entertaining, and I think that's why people enjoy it so much.
Well, I should, like, if I'd known about this Champion of Champions, I would have tried really hard to win, so I could be on it again, because it's really fun. Again. I mean, I still would have come 4th, but I would have tried really hard to be on it again. Mind you, Jeremy would never have let me win, because it would never have happened.
I think it's pretty hard
because he hates me.
Yeah. Look at Laura as well. Laura was so strong. Like,
she was
in every department, really.
Yeah,
like sort of the measurement task, the creative task, the prize. She always killed with the prize task as well.
She was.
About midway through it was like she was looking like she would be unbeatable.
Yeah. I thought Guy might go. Yeah, I think Guy had a real. Yeah, he was a real contender as well.
He had a good run, didn't he, Guy?
I could have been a contender.
It could have been up there.
I could have been. I think people wrote me and Ursula off pretty early on.
Well, that was Ursula's motto, wasn't it? She's here for a good time, not a fast time.
She's on every single TV show in New Zealand, Ursula, and in Australia. Like, she's on every show in Australia and New Zealand. So she's just like, she came through. She loved this one, and she loved hanging out with everyone, and she was awesome. But she's just straight on a plane, back, forth, So for her, it's just another TV show.
Yeah, no, she was brilliant. She was. You all were. But let's talk about you doing the actual task, because let's say one of your downfalls for you during the task is reading the instructions.
Yeah.
All the way through.
It's lifelong downfall.
Yeah, an example of that being that you thought this was happening last week.
Yeah, that's right. I never read anything, and I was thinking about it actually the other day, and I was wondering, it's because I've got producers that this is going to sound terrible, but I got like producers that do like, because I do breakfast radio every day. And then I feel like I've become institutionalized where someone's just going to explain what I've got to do just before I do it to me. Like, it's like, in radio, we've got a doc that comes through on the screen. And then I'm like, what's happening here? What's happening here? What? Who's the client? What am I? Okay. Who's this person that's coming in? Okay. All right. Have I got some questions? Yeah. So it's like, so I'm like, at some point, I'm like, Paul will explain it to me, I think was my logic, but he's actually going to make it harder for you. He's not going to explain it to you. He wants you to be an idiot. So I was like, oh yeah, someone will explain it to me. Okay, what are we doing? You know what I mean? But then, the mother of my children would say, well, because the other day, like, we're moving into a new house and I had to build a flat pack bed for one of the kids, and it took me 8 hours. Like I started when it was, I started at lunchtime, and it was dark when I finished, and there was missing bits, and it was a disaster. So yeah, maybe that's not.
If there's a lifeline with that, if David was doing that, I think he would have took about 10 hours at least.
Yeah, and it would be awesome. What he'd try to do would be awesome. He would be trying to make a motorized bed, or it would be like he would rethought the whole thing and being ambitious. Like the squirt task was fantastic, where it's like,
oh, he was there sucking away on the
it created amazing like contraption, and Ursula's like,
yeah, I won the task.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it takes. I think not reading the instructions as well is the Christmas song for you. I think.
Oh yeah.
There was a list of words you couldn't say.
But although in that one I wrote a list of things not to say and a list of things to say, but I put them on the same bit of paper and I put that in front of me when I was singing the song. So in the heat of singing the song, I was just like, I was reading from both lists. Like, so what had happened, I'd written everything down that was like not to say, and that went down there to there. And then the list of everything to say was there. So as a result, the first thing I said was the last thing from the list of things not to say. So every single, So anyway, great song. I thought I was pretty happy with the song though.
I thought it was a great song as well. It was just unlucky that the second word that you said was tree.
Yeah. That's right.
The tree that got you. Well, obviously you're from a musical background as well, like Deja Voodoo, of course.
Yeah.
So I know that, well, obviously because on one of the prize tasks, you tried to give away thousands of copies of the third album. And there were a lot of musical and lyrical tasks. So would you think that was sort of a pro for you? Did you think the musical?
Well, I turned a few tasks into musical tasks. I guess it depends where your mind goes, When I was in a bathtub with Paul trying to serenade him, it was with this terrible toy guitar that couldn't be tuned, and that was a problem. But and they didn't make the edit. But I wrote this whole song and I sung it to Paul while I was nude in a bath of cold water with him.
I was going to ask you about that song. I was going to ask you about the song because all that was shown on the show was you going, Paul. Paul.
Yeah, Paul, I love you, Paul, I love you. But at that point, the guitar that was available in the shed was like so bad that it was like you might as well have had rubber bands across a box. Not what it sounded like. So I turned that one into a musical task, and I turned the Proud of Your Hometown into a musical task, and there was the diss track where it was funny. I was talking to we were in a Q&A the other day, and when David on the diss track, he felt really bad. I can't quite understand why he felt bad about dissing us in a diss track, but he got really emotional about how abusive he was to me and Ursula.
Yeah.
And he brought the meat pack in to say sorry. And
did you eat that? Did you eat that?
I ate it all that night, and it really screwed me up the next day for the shoot because I had so much meat in me. Like I was basically carrying like about 5 kgs of meat. It took a long time to get through my colon, and I actually had anxiety. Like, when you need a crap, you get this anxiety for days. We were talking about this on a Q&A, how like the actual diss was was, and I was saying to him, the actual disc was that that meat pack, and he was like, no, why did you eat it? The guy was like, why did you eat it? And I thought, oh well, I wanted to send a shot, like send a photo to David, just to say, look, I ate it, like, so it's all cool with the disc track.
Yeah.
But that really messed me up. But the disc track was good. I enjoyed that. That was cool.
I think it is my favorite moment. I think it's my favorite task. It's just, it is just mad. Obviously David going mental, and it constantly goes through my head. You know, where he's just freestyling, like before they film them actually doing it, just him freestyling all those bits. They go through my head all the time, and you can tell. Like, Paul never normally breaks. I think he broke during Guy's date, and I think he broke then because he was just so surprised at what David was coming out with, like drowning you in your own blood and stuff like that. It was like, this is supposed to be a entertainment show.
And producers were saying that went for freaking ages as well. Like it was like there's 35 minutes of outtakes of him just ripping. So I think that's why David feels bad about the diss track, because there must be some shit that they didn't put in there that he feels bad about, because when he bought the meat pack, like, it must have been for something else, because what was on the screen was like, you guys are older than us, and I want you to kill you. It was like, that seems fine. It seems accurate.
It wasn't too harsh, was it? There wasn't,
Did you get the thing, because like David's like the face of an internet company, like an internet provider over here. Like, he's on the TV every other minute, and that's why. That's why it was just going wank man, wank wank wank.
That's what it's more like, wank man.
Yeah, it's like internet man, more like wank man. It's like, you haven't even fully described that. It's basically like you're on a TV commercial, you're on a bunch of commercials, and you've got cutouts of you in stores as the guy promoting an internet provider. Her thing was just like, internet man, more like wank man, wank 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 man.
Oh, it was. How did you sort of react to them dissing you, because you sort of knew what you said about them? Like, were you hoping that, I hope that they sort of go hard on us as well?
That was funny, because it was like, it was a couple. The main thing, I couldn't find the note on my chorus bit of that, which really bugged me. And that's why I wanted to do that one again. And Ursula was like, I'm not doing it again. I was heading off to a change room. I was like, come on, get me go again. It was like, because we picked the music and we went for it, and we came up with some ideas, and then we just went for it. And then Ursula was like, we're done. I'm like, no, we're not done. We're not done. We've got to do that again. Like, what do you mean? She goes, we recorded it. The cameras were on. It's been recorded. We're it. And she was like, and I was like, okay, we're heading back to the dressing room. And that's it. And I was like, no, but we're going to put because my idea was when I was going to sing the choruses, and when she was dissing people, I was going to put the masks that were on there so she could diss them to their mask. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, no. And I was like, that was the rehearsal. I couldn't find the note. And she was like, that's not the rehearsal. That's it. And so we were done. And so I was worried that the note would sound bad, and I was thinking about getting Paul, because he's a very good singer, and his comedy, a lot of it is singing. I was like, get Paul to harmonize, like we up the production level. That's what I was worried about. Then when I watched, I was like, yeah, you can't polish a turd. That was right. That was exactly. That was good. It was as good as it was going to get.
I would have loved to have heard a harmonization on "Eat Your Asses." Like, what? Like, we've got to talk about that. Obviously, a classic conversation starter. Whereas, like, what did you actually think that meant? Like, before?
Well, full disclosure, I was thinking it would be funny to pretend I didn't know what that meant. Like, it was like go we're coming last, we're gonna eat your ass, and just like totally play the idiot, because it left a lot for people to discuss. Yeah. And then I thought it'd be funny to go, what do you mean? Like, I thought that was like So yeah.
Yeah, you got me.
I I was glad that people bought that because
Yeah.
I was worried it would seem stupid that someone would not like someone would be so stupid that they didn't know that eat your ass. But so I was glad I'm glad that people could believe I'm that stupid, which is good. That's the plausibility's there. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm glad it like that happened on like Taskmaster rather than like on your breakfast show. Like,
yeah, but I get that's kind of what I'm like on the breakfast show. Like me and Jerry always kind of pretend to not understand something just to be idiots. Like it's kind of a shtick of ours to like
right, yeah,
go like and one of us will always say something accidentally really offensive because because it's kind of like in a commercial radio broadcast, you can, if you say something offensive accidentally, then you kind of get off the hook on it. You know what I mean?
okay.
So we've got this ongoing gag where one of us says something offensive, the other person goes, "Oh, what?" And he goes, "What?" And like one of us pretends that we didn't know that we'd been really offensive. So I guess I was just running that same old shtick, mate.
That's what you got.
That's all I got.
It's a great stick to live by. If it can get you out of trouble, then that's what you need.
Yeah.
And
because I didn't actually know. Another thing with Taskmaster I didn't know is like because I didn't know you could swear, and so like we were on the set and I didn't know that you could be really offensive. I didn't know because I knew it was on TVNZ2, which is sort of a mainstream channel. And, you know, which is odd because I had the most offensive TV show of all time on back in the day called Back of the Wire, Masterpiece Television, which was on TV2. And it was hugely like, basically people thought it was the end of all good when that show was on because it was so offensive. But I guess I've been institutionalized by doing commercial radio. But when like Guy was saying full on shit, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like,
what are you doing, man? And then like, you know, Ursula would be saying this shit and I'll be like, what? And then I was watching the tasks and people were saying, you know, sticking dicks and cakes. And I was like, someone could have told me that you could. That this wasn't. Maybe I could have asked, but I didn't know I was on an R16 show. I thought I was on like a PG. So I was turning up with my PG game.
Yeah,
which does include eating ass.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, I think it really adds. It really adds to the show. I think. The swearing and I actually enjoy listening to all you Kiwis swear. It's much better than us swearing.
I thought Guy's like use of swear words in his Raya sides was so funny. Like it was brilliant. Like, you know, like it, you know, he throw in the right word. You know, I can't think of a single example, but I'd always be like, yeah, that's he's quick, man. Guy is fucking quick. He's sharp, man. Just in life, you know, and you're hanging out with him, he's sharp, man. He's like, he's always got the right comment. It's impressive.
Yeah, I'd like keeping on with the swearing aspect. Was it with the? And I don't want to keep jumping back to the UK one even because
no, it's good. I'm interested.
There's because the new series aired on Thursday night, and they accidentally played out the censored version. So there was like, so everyone was getting bleeped. So everyone was going crazy. Like, do you reckon they've put the censored one on by mistake? Because then you can like watch it on catch up. So if you don't want your kids to listen to the swearing, you can get your kids to watch it. So they
right.
I don't want to say they put the kids version out, and there was absolute outrage. I don't think there's ever been that many complaints to have more swearing on the telly.
That's really good. Yeah, you never think about that, eh? There's like the people that want the swearing. That's great. Jeremy, who's the you know, the Taskmaster over here, he's the host of like the highest rating light entertainment show in New Zealand. It's called 7 Sharp. It's on at 7:00 5 nights a week, and it's like huge with boomers. It's like it's a juggernaut rating show. Yeah. And obviously he's a different persona on that because, you know, he can't swear on that. But he said cunt on there recently, just accidentally. Like he was talking about a crunchy biscuit, and he went and he go, it's the most cunt. And because he heard himself say it, he stopped. And there was a big pause. He's stunned. So he said, it's the biggest. It's the most cunt biscuit. crunchy biscuit, and it was like there's like thousands of complaints or whatever. It's like, yeah, he didn't mean to say it, but it's pretty good that.
Exactly.
But because they know his other life, doing things like Taskmaster and our breakfast show, radio show, they're like, and he used to do this show called Eating Media Lunch. It was a very successful show that was pretty offensive. Yeah, sort of had this thing. Yeah, and so people were like, he did that on purpose. He slipped that word in on purpose.
Yeah.
And so there was a recommended plants. He was like, I seriously didn't. I'm not just gonna like yell cunt at 7 p.m. on the news. Yeah.
He didn't want to torpedo his whole career.
It's like, what's in that for me? What do I get out of it? Just to say cunt biscuit.
Yeah. Even though they should rename the show that.
Yeah, it's a good name. Yeah.
It is. It really is. Something similar happens over here on BBC Breakfast. There's a politician called Jeremy Hunt. And that's a setup, isn't it? Yeah. One of the broadcaster, I think it was Victoria Derbyshire, she was actually I don't even think she works there anymore. I don't think it went well for her. Jeremy's still got his job though, hasn't he? That's the good news.
Yeah. He's still punishing every second of the day on TV and radio.
Yeah, he's got the morning, then 7, and then he's got Taskmaster in the evening. He's on.
Yeah. And last Taskmaster he was on in the morning. Then he was the 7 sharp, and then he had Taskmaster, and in the Taskmaster ads there were ads for both our breakfast show and the Taskmaster ads on TVNZ, and ads for another show he was doing called Late Night Big Breakfast. So he was really he was every morning was going, I'm overexposed. I hate myself. I don't want to see myself. I'm overexposed to myself. He goes, you think it's bad enough fucking seeing me everywhere? I have to see myself in the mirror. I have to hear myself. I'm sick of my voice. Plus we were doing cricket commentary at the same time, So he's like, I hate me. I'm overexposed.
He's a busy guy. Where does he fit this all in?
Yeah.
He's a busy guy.
He does. He's surprisingly lazy and does hardly anything. Like he's reading an auto cue most of the time. You know what I mean? Like people think he's doing so much. It's like in Taskmaster, like we're out at the mansion doing like all these tasks for months, and then he rocks in for 5 days. And it was great that it was great. Like the producers of our radio show, like the owners, they came up to me and they said, "Hey, we're giving you guys a paid week off to do Taskmaster because we're just worried about the pressure on Jerry." So like I think he needs, and I was like, look, I'll take a paid week off, but fuck that guy. Like,
never mind the pressure on you.
Yeah, like never mind. Like I've got a life.
Yeah,
exactly. I run like an animation company. We do kids animations. Actually, like I'm working hard. Yeah, I'm working hard. Yeah, what about me? Actually, I'm not working very hard. Like, running a kids animation company is the least work in the world because it takes so long for them to animate the shows that it's like working at snail's pace. It's brilliant.
And it's saying that with Paul has to do it with you, and then 5 times as well. He must be knackered by the time he's got to be there the whole time.
I know, and that's the weird thing because I felt a little bit jealous because I had this special relationship with Paul. And I found him like a really interesting guy. I'd never met him before. The first time I met him on the first task.
Yeah.
And so I was really getting to know him on the show. And he actually got stressed out because I talked to him for quite a bit before the task was like, once the clock was going, I'd be like, I don't know, I'm an idiot. But anyway, and so I got to really know him and I really liked him and I wanted to spend time with him. So I thought our time when we came out was to kind of hang out. And so I'd be talking to him and getting along with him and like naively forgetting it was a sort of a show. And then when I watched the task, it's like, everyone had that relationship with Paul, like it felt quite special to me. But for him, I was just the fifth Muppet doing this freaking thing. You know what I mean? Like, he's such a great guy, a lovely guy, and genuinely interesting. And like we'd always sit together in the lunch, lunchtime on the shoots and chat. And frick, it's weird the first time you see him in like, because he's a huge football fan, and the first time you see him, he's in like his, in a football shirt. and looking casual and not in his tux.
So like,
It's
right,
it's like, oh
right.
wow, he's a human being.
He's a normal guy.
He's a lovely, funny, relaxed human guy that'll answer your questions, not just go, all you need to know is in the task.
He's not just this robot that's like, it must be so hard. Like it's so hard just to not, engage in that sort of thing. Because the madness that is going on in front of him, and he's just got to be composed about it. So I think, and he does a really good job.
And quite apart from the fact it's so hot, like you're sweating, like you're so freaking sweating hot to the point where like camera people are having to be swapped out because the humidity was too much for them to continue filming. And he's just standing there with his full suit on, like not even getting a sweat up, Like I was having to have my shirt changed every because it was just drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
so it would have been quite nice to get in the cold bath then for the date task.
Yeah.
And no wonder you were so quick to go, right, I'm getting in my underpants.
Absolutely, totally, man. Totally. It was like, there was no sacrifice. It was engineered to cool down. Because I didn't realize you can get Paul to get things. So I had wheelbarrowed all that water over to the bath. So it was freaking hot.
It's amazing that you got that far, that you didn't know that you could just get stuff for you.
I wasn't until Ursula said, we were doing this task, and I go, geez, it'd be good to have some milk to wash down these Weet-Bix. Do you have Weet-Bix over there?
Weetabix, I think it's called.
Weetabix, yeah. I said, and she goes, well, get Paul to get it. I was like, what? And she goes, Paul, get him some milk. And I was like, you can, and he went off and got it. And I was like, wow,
I know.
This is amazing.
I'd be like, can I have a beer right now? I think that'd be helpful with my.
Well, that's what Lee Hart did. I hear in the whole of first season, everyone was saying the first thing Lee Hart said, and each one was, "Get me a Jack and Coke."
Let's do this. You've actually during this, you've brought up a lot of the tasks that I wanted to just go over. Obviously we talked about you and Ursula being a team, and then you brought out the wheat biscuits there. You had to build a castle out of the wheat biscuits.
Yeah.
And you got caught out, didn't you? You got caught out. Did you think, oh, this is cheating, or did you think, oh, they won't go back on this, or did you think you'd get away with it?
I didn't. I was just doing it for a joke for Paul. I thought Paul had spotted it. I didn't even I couldn't believe I was trying to get Paul's attention to do it. So during the task, he could say, "Stop doing it." It was just a dumb thing. I wasn't because it didn't really matter. You know what I mean? We had plenty of time to get as many Weet-Bix as we wanted. And so
come back and
I actually thought Paul had actually seen it at the time. So I thought it was just me being stupid, because I was basically showing him at the time. But then he was like, I didn't notice. So it was kind of a weird thing. I thought because Paul had seen it and I'd done it, that it was just a stupid joke we were having during the shooting of it. And that Ursula was like, we were just sort of laughing about it. I was like going, hey.
And your castle was clearly better than the other team.
It was great
because the other teams was a terrible looking castle.
But I think they had problems with there's advantages in having 3 and disadvantages, and the advantages in having 2 is I arrived and I said, who's in charge? And Ursula said me, and so then she was just in charge.
That was it.
So that was fine. Whereas I think the 3 friends said on that task they had to find out a power structure, because there was some three pretty crazy characters. But I love the cut. My favorite bit in the show is them coming in and all embracing each other, and me and Ursula coming in and just sort of because it was the first time we'd ever seen each other and anyone else in the castle, and I'm got my hand, just put it slightly on my shoulder and then step back. It was pretty much the difference between me and Ursula and those 3 lovable characters. And
it was
prickly.
It really was the 3 friends, and it was coming over to you. It was like the husband and wife for 20 years. Who just had enough of each other. You could just tell.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Ursula didn't want to spend any more time with me than she had to. Good
yeah,
shit.
it is. It is. And I've got to say, even though you got caught cheating, you did have some great moments where you sort of caught like the twists out. There's always some sort of like, so you always thought
Yeah.
there was a twist to every task.
Yeah.
And
That was my problem.
I think the spill the beans task,
Yeah.
because not just the arrow underneath pointing to the can, you picked out the can which said not beans on it. Like
Yeah.
how did you even clock that? Like how
Well,
did
do you know that? Do you
them?
know I got that a different way than was in the edit
Oh
because
right, okay. Here we go. We're getting exclusives here. This is on the podcast.
yeah.
This is great.
So on the bottom of the can they had like some numbers like that the task people didn't know this. The people that set the task was numbers. So that one can was a different like so you got like a barcode, right? But around the bottom there was like 87412ZZZ like that was around the bottom. So I just picked it up and then so yeah, I just looked for one that didn't have that, if you know what I mean, like didn't have right, you know, like I was like, so there was I picked up two and there were different things on them and I was like, okay, well the one with beans is going to have a slightly different number than the ones, and so then I picked that one up. And so when I held it up and said not beans, I only saw it basically, for me it said that on the bottom, so that made me look a lot cleverer than I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You stormed the task, and I thought you would have won that task. But Guy beat you, didn't he? I think Guy was quicker, and you got 4 points because I think Paul said that you took the first 5 minutes just chatting to him about the task.
Yeah, I did that a lot. I did that a lot. Yeah, because I didn't really think about that in terms of like, I knew there was a time. Like I was like, there's time. So I was like, oh, we've got some time. He's like, we've got some time. We've got some time. Because some of the tasks are like, you got an hour. Some of you got 45 minutes. Some of them, your time starts now. So it was like, I needed to be more, the time starts now on some of them than I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I've got some questions, not from me, because I'm a part of like I said, the Facebook group about Taskmaster, and I said that you were going to be coming on the podcast. So they've sent me some questions to ask you.
Sure.
Just do the best you can to ask these questions. So we've got the first one. Is that was there a task that wasn't shown but you wish they did show?
Yeah, there was one. God, what was it? There's one where we had to guess a word in the forest, and I got it. I was the only one that got it. There was 3 tasks that I was the only one that got. So because there was other tasks, because no one did it, it couldn't be in there. Yeah. So there were a couple like that. So I was like, thank God those ones are coming up because I'm going to get some serious points on that.
Get some points.
Yeah. So there was one where there was just like you had to guess the word that Paul had in his head, and I think there was only 2 that I did really well, and that didn't get play. And yeah, they said, well, we just couldn't get it because it wasn't, only one person got it, so it wasn't really usable. So I was hoping for that one. And there was one I was really glad wasn't in there that I really like. I was right. There was 2. Okay. The 2 ones that I was were dreading was the onion task.
Yeah,
because I think that might have been one of the first tasks I did was the onion task, and I had no idea what was going on. And the other one was this running task where you're supposed to work out a mathematical equation. These were the first 2 tasks on the first day, I believe.
Oh wow!
And I just read it as run. How fast can you run? So I just ran this race, and I was like, shit, I was fast because you know I enjoy my running, like I run every day, and so I thought, oh, good, this is an opportunity for Matt Heath to show his quality, and and then when I got back, I saw on the blackboard there was an equation that meant you didn't want to run. There was something. It was complicated, and so I was glad. I was glad that one because that was so stupid to put that much effort in, like to end up that sweat. Like I was imagining the edit with me just pounding, you know, running really fast for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? And so I was glad that was cut out. But there was another one where I did really well that was cut out. And there was a few. Yeah. Was that the question? That was the question?
That was the question.
Good. Yeah.
You added a question as well there. I love that. Another thing, this is not a question, but this is just for my own amusement. there was no tie breaks on this series. So did you do tie break tasks?
Yeah, well, apparently that squirt one was a tie break task.
Oh,
But
was it?
But after David went so loose with trying to construct the world's most stupid thing, and after I accidentally, I think it was me and Guy accidentally squirted when we were trying to sort our thing out. They were like, this is so simple that these, but like, because everyone, all five of us, were massive overthinkers. Well, four of us probably.
So just went.
We were all going to try and. They didn't expect all of us when they came with the task to try and think beyond it and try and go. But that was just who gets the furthest. That was their idea, and of course Ursula did it. But then they just thought it was so funny that me and guys just accidentally squirted, and then David constructed the world's biggest aqueduct that then messed up,
and then just spat onto the canvas.
So they put that one in as a tie break. They put that in the show. That was a tie break, but they put it in the show because it was good. So, and I think there was another one that was a tie break where we were just flicking through a book for who was closest to the page.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, and apparently I came last in that. So, yeah.
So glad there wasn't any tie breaks anyway.
Yeah.
But you won 2 shows, I think.
Yeah,
you did. You won 2. Is that when you're up on the stage? Is that a great feeling when you actually win an episode? Because I remember you doing so well on I think it's the 9th episode. You do so well on it.
Yeah, that was the most anyone had ever won a show by in the very short history of the New Zealand Taskmaster, according to one of the producers. Oh, yeah, it depends. Like I'm never going to win the ones that are objective. Like if Jerry gets to judge it, he's always going to judge me down. That's the way it works. So I could only win. This is my excuse that I've been running everywhere. I'm blaming it on Jerry. But that doesn't explain why I did so badly on the ones that weren't objective. You know, like the ones that were objective as opposed to subjective.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I won the first one, and the 9th one. The first one was kind of weird because guys, win. Well, the guys, prize was a MP, like a green MP in New Zealand, because it was the most green thing.
Yes.
So, and that was on the first record, and it was like, just to go behind the curtain, she could only be there for a very brief amount of time. So all 5 of us had to shoot the win with her for later on the show when we found out who had won.
That's
so we all had to do it. So I was like the 5th person to celebrate with her. So it was a bit weird. It was a bit weird. It was like, I was like, and I assumed I wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I was like, I thought I went up there going, we're just getting this just to I don't know, maybe to make me feel better or something. I don't know. So I was like,
like, yes.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure Laura Shot will be the one that wins.
Yeah. So talking about Laura, this is another question from the Facebook group. Was the bucket with Laura sprouting, was that there the whole time for you when you were recording?
Yeah. It was there, and I always wondered. I walked past and go for a long time, and I'm not sure what day shoot, but it was for it was up there for 2 months or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so I'd always walk past that bucket, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting piece of art. Like art design or something, like set design. I thought, what? Yeah. I thought it was just like, oh, we're a wacky mansion. We've got a bucket hanging off the thing.
Yeah. It never crossed your mind that it was from the sprout?
No, I think what you'd like until you do the show, like, like the time pressure. Like I say, until you do the show, I hadn't really seen the show beforehand, but like when you're watching the show, you don't really realize you're sort of in a panic. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you make really strange decisions, I say like, I'm sort of in a panic, and then I'm also was spending a lot of time talking to Paul, but like you're in this weird sense of not making rational decisions. Like I think if you arrived at a house and you saw a bucket hanging off the thing, you'd be like, why is there a bucket hanging off there on a piece of string, But you're coming out the doors, you're looking for Paul, there's cameras everywhere, you're like wondering what the next thing is. You're told to, like you're blindfolded or whatever, and you're told to walk, over to the actually they had a trust thing. They told you to close your eyes, and then they'd lead you down the stairs or whatever, and then release you, go over to the caravan and meet Paul there. So you're kind of in this weird zone where you're not really observing properly.
You're just in the world, aren't you?
Yeah. So when I was watching that back in later tasks, I see myself just walk past the bucket. And I'm like, who walks past a bucket on a string and doesn't go, there's a bucket on a string? You know what I mean? You're in a different mindset.
There's an amazing video on YouTube that some fan has made, and it's called Taskmaster New Zealand, the bucket cut. So every time that the bucket is in a shot in the background, they put it all together, and it's about 6 minutes long of just little snippets of you doing the tasks and the
That's
bucket
how
being
brilliant.
there.
That's brilliant. And also it's how brilliant the show is, that the producers in New Zealand, and I'm sure it's the same in the UK, are so awesome that they just go, oh, well, that bucket has to remain there, like that's, like don't clean that bucket up. That task is still live. Yeah. And especially since my in that tucker, that was the Brussels sprout one, wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah. So it's like, mine fell in about 1.1 second or 0.8 of a second. So mine's over, mine's over months ago. And that thing there. The other one that was weird like that is the phone. Yeah. So in terms of long term, so we were given that phone and I kept it on me for the longest time, right? And then Ursula, for whatever reason, she was over in Australia doing shows, and she had to be in isolation, coming back in, whatever. She didn't keep it on, and she came back and did that task, got given the phone way later on, and then so she actually in the end had that phone for 2 days, and we had it for months.
Wow! And did you take that everywhere with you?
Like I did, but I hadn't turned the ringer on or made any sound. Like, I just thought, I'll just put it in my pocket. It looked like I was a drug dealer. I was running a burner phone or whatever, you know what I mean? And then so when it went off, I was out for lunch down at a restaurant with some mates. And then I, for some reason, I didn't really even check it that much because I figured it would rang up. And then I checked it like an hour ago, the text message had come through. And then I was like copying it over to my other phone to do the Zoom call. And then I was just walking home. So I had to just find a road cone to put on my head. But I was like, I carried it for 2 months and freaking didn't have the ringer on. And then Ursula had hers for 2 days. I was like, come on. But Ursula came last anyway, so it didn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
So it doesn't really matter. It's not like she utilized the advantage she was given.
That's true. My last question from the Taskmaster fans is, did you take the blow up doll home from episode 4?
That was a weird situation for me because when I saw all the partners coming out on the scene, I was like, oh my God, who are they going to bring out for me? Because I'm not with the mother of my children anymore. And I was like, this could be really awkward if who they've decided is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't. How do I say this? Like, I don't know who they've decided to bring out. If you know what I'm getting at. And so
I do. So I was know like, that you're not like hinting at you. There's like a long list of people like. I know you're not hinting at that. Yeah.
And so I was like, this is going to be. And then I was like, phew, phew. And so I asked Laura afterwards, and she goes, "Oh, how did you know?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm friends with your ex-partner." So
I know. How's Laura friends with everyone? Maybe it is just New Zealand.
Well, she reached out to the other people, but the mother of my children, she works in film and television, and so she's worked with Laura a lot apparently. So it was like, but I was like, I don't know, just even her approaching. It would have been. It could have been so much weirder. You know what I mean? Yeah. It could have been so. So I was like, yeah, but no, David took the sex doll home.
Of course. You know what? He's like wank man.
Wank man. Been on a internet service provider ad, so wank man. It's like I love that in that task that Ursula didn't like go, I'm gonna try and rap. She was like, and she didn't even want to prepare, so she's like, oh, what should we say about Laura Daniel. She used to be on Jerry's 7 Sharp show. Like, I'll hassle her about that. That guy's on it. It was so good.
Or someone getting eye gonorrhea from a shit cake or something like that is something what she said.
Yeah. That's right. Because Laura was on the show and she would make cakes for politicians, like when she interviewed them. So she made a cake for the Prime Minister, and it was like it was a disaster. It was like a looked like a horror movie kind of situation. So that was the reference if that New Zealanders would have got, but not necessarily the world.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
Maybe
the Prime Minister Jacinda got eye gonorrhea from your cake, you know.
Yeah. That's what I should have known that. I know you're Prime Minister. I'm not on first term basis with her, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is New Zealand for you. That everyone knows Jacinda and calls her Jacinda.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah.
Jacinda.
Jacinda.
Yeah.
That is Jacinda. She lives in the.
Yeah.
She lives just down the road from here. Literally,
Really?
she does. Literally, she lives 3 streets away from where I am right now.
That's insane, and everyone loves Jacinda as well. You get it.
I don't know. Well, like you know, and like you can be popular, and you still got still 40% of the population fucking hates you.
Yeah,
you know, and you're a very popular prime minister. You know, but you know how it works. You know, like
yeah. I was just thinking in terms of what we've got in the UK and in America, with Jacinda's a nice person from our perspective.
New Zealand's really trying hard to adopt that sort of American bipartisan anger, but it's just it's pretty chill. It's hard to really for people to get their heartbeat up enough to do it. You know what I mean? Like there's not enough outrages for people to really but people are trying to do an imitation. People are trying to do their best imitation of that kind of level of anger.
And it's too hot as well. It's too hot to do anything over there.
Well, not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
No, it's midwinter at the moment. Well, not midwinter. It's coming into spring, so it's just heating up. It was pretty hot yesterday.
Of course, it's just mad. I need to sort of revise all my New Zealand stuff now. I've got this podcast. I'm getting to know New Zealand more. I think I thought I would.
Well, come down, visit, mate, when you're allowed to. It's a I'll show you the sites. I'll show you the site.
The site of New Zealand.
Yeah, I'll show you the site. Yeah,
that'd be brilliant. Now, at the end of the podcast, I'll get my guests to rate how they found the podcast from 1 to 5 points. So, like, you've got the ability of the Taskmaster. So, whatever points do you want to give the podcast from 1 to 5? I promise I won't be offended.
From across my performance, your performance, okay. I'm going to say I would give it a 5, but I'll give it a 4 because I thought it was last week, and I was all ready to go last week. So
I'll take the 4. I will.
So in terms of I'm taking a point off for not reading the task.
That's exactly. We've not read it all the way through.
Yeah.
Cheers, Matt. I'll take the 4. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, no worries, mate. Cheers. You have a good day and or good night. And lovely to meet you and lovely to talk to you.
Cheers, Matt.
See you, mate.